Hey everyone, Nami here, and today we are going to cover Warframe settings that you should be aware of that can improve your quality of life. Now, I'm not talking about graphic settings or hardware settings, that's a whole different rabbit hole. What I'm talking about are the settings that are going to make your actual gameplay smoother, clearer, and less frustrating if you decide to use them. These are the options that exist in the game that every player, whether you're MR5 or LR5, should at least know about. And honestly, there are way more of these than most people realize. Quick tip before we dive in, I'll be using Warframe's inbuilt search bar to quickly navigate to all these settings as I mentioned them. Just type these keywords directly into your settings search box to jump right to each option. I'll also mention these search terms in the timestamp below so you can skip to whatever interests you the most. So let's jump right into it. Setting number 1, Field of View. Alright, so let's start with something that can change how you perceive the entire game. Field of View, or FOV for short. Now, on PC or console, you've got a maximum FOV setting of 90. Some players find it gives them a wider view of the battlefield. By default, the game starts you at a lower FOV, which means your vision is more restricted. Here's what I mean. With a lower FOV, you're only seeing a narrow cone of the world around you. Bump it up to 90 and your vision gets significantly wider. You're going to see enemies coming from the sides faster. You're going to have better situational awareness. It's a subtle change on paper, but in actual gameplay, it can make a difference for some players. So, look at the display settings, find field of view, and see if maxing it out to 90 feels better for you. Once you get used to it, some players never go back. Okay, here's a setting that's going to prevent one of the most frustrating situations in Warframe, accidentally reloading when you meant to interact with something. By default, the reload with interaction key is set to on. This means you're standing in front of a console that you need to hack and press to interact with it, and instead of interacting with it, you start reloading your weapon since you missed the console. Really annoying, especially in spy missions. Here's the fix. Search for reload and disable the reload with context action input. Once the setting is turned off, now when you press your interact key, it's only going to interact with things. And when you press your reload key, it's only going to reload. No more accidental reloads, no more missing an interaction because you started reloading instead. This is a small change, but it's going to save you from so much frustration, especially during spy missions or survival content where you need to interact with things quickly and reliably. The next setting that I want to go over is hold to sprint. By default, your sprint is set to hold, meaning you have to hold down the sprint key to keep sprinting. And if you're sprinting constantly, which you are, your pinky finger is going to start getting tired and sore from holding down that key all time. Here's the better option. Search for hold to sprint or just sprint and change the sprint to a toggle, meaning you press the sprint key once and you'll keep sprinting until you press it again or move in a different direction. Now your finger doesn't have to hold anything down, you press once and you're good to go. This is much better for your finger health, especially if you're playing for longer sessions. Along the same lines, there's another setting that you should know of, and that is the hold to aim. You can simply search for this option by searching hold to aim to find it. By default, aiming down sights is set to hold. This means you have to hold down your aim key to stay scoped in. If you prefer, you can toggle this off, which changes it to a toggle. Now you can press aim once to scope in and press it again to scope out. This is another one of those settings that reduces hand fatigue and just feels better for a lot of players. Personally, I like having aim as a toggle because it helps me keep my hands more relaxed while still being able to aim precisely. But this is totally up to your preference. Try both and see which feels better for your playstyle. Setting number 5, damage numbers. Okay, so you know those floating numbers that appear when you hit enemies? Those are damage numbers, and a lot of people don't realize how much you can customize them. Let me break down what you can do. First, you're going to have 3 options: Legacy, Enhanced, and Cloud. Now, which one you should use? Honestly, it depends on your preference. Try each one and see which one feels best for you. Beyond that, you can also toggle compact damage numbers, which shortens damage numbers to like 4M instead of 4 million. This is great for clarity, especially when you're dealing massive damage and the numbers are flying everywhere. You can also adjust the damage number scale and opacity if your numbers are too big and covering your screen. reduce the scale to like 50 or 60%. If they are too transparent and hard to see, increase the opacity. Play around with these until they feel right for you. Point is that damage numbers are feedback. Customize them to be as readable as possible for your playstyle. Next up, we are going to talk about something that can improve how you see enemies and allies on your screen. Out of the box, enemies and allies are visible, but they're not always easy to spot, especially when there's visual chaos happening on your screen. Here's what you can do. Search for highlights in the search tab, and from here you can see that there are the enemy and ally highlight options. You can enable them and customize the colors carefully. You want to use colors that are bright and stand out, but you might want to avoid colors that match Eximus unit colors for the enemy highlight one. So colors like red, blue or green could be tricky because Eximus units have those color-coded appearances, and you want to be able to differentiate between a normal unit and an Eximus unit at a glance. Eximus units are tougher and more dangerous, so knowing when you're dealing with one can matter. You could use colors like yellow, pink, or white for your enemies. Pick whichever stands out the most to you. Now, for ally highlights, this can be useful especially if you're doing open world contents like hunting animals in the plains of Eidolon, Cambion Drift, or Orb Vallis. Some of you might not know this, but ally highlights even the animals in the open world, making it easier for you to spot them from a distance. Through this setting enabled, you could easily spot animals in the open world. Next, we're going to talk about gear wheel keybinding. You can access the hotkeys by going to the Customize Keybindings right at the start of your settings and scroll till you find the gear hotkeys from gear hotkey 1 to gear hotkey 12. From here, it is just a matter of setting the keys that you prefer for these gear slots. You see, the gear wheel is where you store things like your Necromech, Archwing, Launcher, Crewmates, Spectres, K-Drives, or even energy pads and health pads. By default, if you want to use any of these, you have to press the key to open the gear wheel, wait for it to appear, move your mouse to the item and click on it. That takes like 2 to 4 seconds, and with the keybind, it is instant. No more fumbling around the menus while enemies are shooting at you. You can just press a key and your gear wheel items are deployed. Set this up with your most commonly used gear and you're going to wonder how you ever played without it. Here's another setting that most people might not know about, and that is the fire manual trigger weapons continuously. Search for fire manual in the search bar and just turn this setting on. What this does is makes your semi-automatic weapons like Electron or Burston fire continuously when you hold down the fire button. Instead of requiring you to click for every shot, you just have to hold down the left click. It doesn't change your damage or DPS, it just saves your fingers from having to spam click constantly. You're not getting any unfair advantage, it's just preventing you from getting finger fatigue and possibly increasing the lifespan of your buttons that you're clicking with. Definitely turn this on. Alright, here's a setting that some players find immersive while others find it annoying. Screen shake. Screen shake is on by default, and what it does is stimulates your camera, getting shaken up every time there's an explosion nearby or you use a big ability. Here's the reality for some players. Screen shake can mess with your aim. It can make it harder to see where you are actually aiming at. And if you're playing a frame with a big AoE ability or using explosive weapons, your screen can be constantly bouncing around. Search for screen shake in the search tab and turn it off if you prefer a more stable camera. Some players immediately notice smoother gameplay with a stable camera and better aim control. I personally too have this turned off. Okay, so this is a setting that a lot of people might know about, but I'm still going to go over it, and that is the region settings. You can search for it in the search tab by typing region. Now, here's the thing. Your region settings affects two things. Firstly, it determines which players you matchmake with for public missions. And secondly, it determines which chat you see for region chats, trade chats, and recruiting chats. Why does this matter? Well, some regions have way more players than others. If you're in a less populated region, you might have a hard time finding squads for missions, especially if you're playing at off-peak hours. Some experienced players, including myself, actually switch to the North America region even if they don't live there, because North America has the most players at pretty much all times of the day. Now, here's my recommendation. Don't stress too much about this if you're already finding squads. But if you're struggling to find players for missions, or if you're trying to trade and nobody's responding, try switching your region. Just change your region to North America and see if you notice a difference in matchmaking and chat activity. You can always change it back if you want. Also, you should set your ping limit when you change regions, as it might affect how laggy or delayed your game might feel if the ping is set too high. Let's talk about something that's going to make your chat experience way better. By default, this is turned off, which means when you're looking at chat, you have no clue when a message was sent. Was it 10 seconds ago or 10 minutes ago? You have no clue. Here's why this matters. Let's say someone messages you while you're in a mission. You get out of the mission and you see the message, but you don't know how old it was. Are they still waiting for you? Did they already leave? If you had a timestamp, you'd probably instantly know. You could see, okay, that message was like from 15 minutes ago and they're probably gone. And you could move on. You could turn on this setting by just searching for timestamps and enabling the chat message timestamps. Trust me, especially if you trade a lot or you're coordinating with teammates, this is going to save you so much of confusion. Next up is inline private messages. This one is turned on by default. What this does is that it gets other players' messages into the chat window with the person you're already chatting with. When it's off, each player gets their own separate window. If you're trying to negotiate a trade with one person while another person is trying to sell you something and they're all chatting at you at the same time, it becomes absolute chaos trying to keep conversations straight in one window. It's a mess. Turning inline private messages off, now each person you chat with gets their own tab, which keeps your conversations organized and way less confusing. You can focus on one conversation without getting distracted by someone else's message popping up in the middle of your chat. Another chat setting that I want to go over is region chat. Personally, I have this chat setting turned off because I find it quite spammy. However, if you love region chat and find it helpful, you can keep it on. It's totally optional and it's up to you. Last chat setting would be the profanity filter. This is turned on by default, which means any cuss word in the chat are going to be censored with asterisks. Some people are cool with that, some people want to see unfiltered chats. Here's the thing, this is totally a personal preference, and if you're uncomfortable with seeing profanity, keep it on. If you want to see what people are actually saying without censoring them, you can turn it off. It's not going to affect your gameplay, but it will affect your chat experiences. You can turn this setting on or off by searching for profanity in the search tab. Alright Tenno, those are the Warframe settings you should know exist that can make a huge difference in your daily gameplay. None require hardware changes, they're just options to make things smoother, clearer, and more comfortable if you need them. Pick one or two that sounds interesting, search for them using the keywords, test them out, and see how they feel. Don't change everything all at once, just experiment gradually. If this helped you discover new options, please like and subscribe. Drop your favorite quality of life settings or search terms in the comments to help other Tenno as well. See you in the next one.